Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of It's No Secret with Dr. T. My guest today, Josh Rimmington from JR Marketing. Today we talk about online marketing and specifically setting your goals first and then deciding what platform is best suited to your business. We'll be covering things like Adwords and Facebook and the difference between the two and when you should be using them. Also, Facebook Pixels, LinkedIn, Instagram, a lot of the online platforms, but also latest trends regarding audio and video. Where is this going into the future? And you need to keep this top of mind. You need to be aware of where the trends are going so that you can start targeting your business that way. And also pay attention to what your customers, clients, and patients are doing. You can see what they're doing and you can see that your habits may be going the same way. This will give you a little bit of insight on where you should be directing your business. So anyway, with Josh today, I opened the conversation asking Josh how did he get into this whole online marketing world. So regardless of where you're listening to this podcast right now, sit back and enjoy this conversation with Josh Rimmington.
So I got, probably about 6 years ago, I went from actually running businesses and using marketing to actually starting to help people with their marketing. So when I started doing that, it was more of as a consultant role to start with, and then as I expanded into an agency. The main goal was we didn't want to be like most agencies, and we wanted to focus on actually getting the results and actually working out what the clients need rather than trying to put ourselves in a box and say, okay, this is the only thing we can do. Yeah. We wanted to be able to talk to the client and actually see what will actually help them and then come up with a solution that will actually help them. So typically we'll look at a client and say, okay, what are your goals? What are we trying to achieve? And then we'll actually start to work out, okay, how can we get you found in those areas online? Do we need to work on a website? Do we need to work on your SEO? Can we start some Facebook campaigns, AdWord campaigns? So it's about finding out what works best for them to get the results. Because ultimately that's the main focus is we want to make sure that that a business is getting customers, a business is getting patients or whatever type of business it is, that they're actually getting the results that we're trying to achieve, whether or not it's focus on growth or it's a focus on just getting people through the door. Then we want to actually basically find a solution and be able to work up the best plan for that.
So what's the first thing you do? You know, say I had a business and I call you up and I think, I know I need help with my online marketing, and I call your office. What's the first question that you're actually asking me?
Normally it'll be, okay, why are you reaching out to me now?
Good question.
Because there's normally a reason why they're wanting to. Yeah. And what are you trying to achieve? What are your goals? Where do you actually want to go? Because every business is different. Some people want to expand rapidly, open multiple businesses and everything else, and some people just want to grow, get extra staff, and some just want to maintain what they actually have. So it's really about working out what your goals are, and then actually working out what's your current position and how do we bridge the gap between your current position and your actual goals, and that's where we work out those marketing solutions, or whether or not we're the right type of marketing solutions, because obviously we're not always going to be the right fit, or online might not be suitable, or they might be actually doing some great stuff online already and what we can offer might not actually be suitable. So it's about working out where that gap is and what's stopping them from achieving that, and then working up a plan to actually achieve that.
Okay, so if I came to you and said, okay, I've got a website already, but I'm just not getting traffic to my website, can you help me with that? Because that would have to be a common question, wouldn't it? Where people have got a website and it's all new and flash and it's got all the bells and whistles, but they're just not getting any traffic to it. What's the next step you do with that?
Yeah. Everyone sees this website as this big solution of, okay, I'll build a website and all of a sudden I'm going to get all these customers, but it's like that you build them and they'll come, but they won't come unless you actually have marketing behind it. So normally when we're looking at traffic, so we want to focus actually on, can we get traffic organically? So can we get it SEO'd and showing up in the maps well so that we can get organic traffic of people searching? And then if we want more traffic, then there's the paid solution. So we can look at AdWords and we can look at Facebook advertising and different things to actually get the paid solutions. So normally we're breaking it up into your non-paid solutions and your paid solutions, and basically working out, what do we want to spend? What's the budget? and how quickly do we want to achieve those results? Because some of the paid solutions, we can start getting traffic straight away.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're doing it organically, it takes time. So there's always that time frame of working out, okay, what do we want to achieve, and also how much do we want to actually put into to actually achieve those results. If we're happy to pay and we know that we're going to get the return and everything else, then we can obviously achieve some of those results faster.
Okay, so if somebody says yes, I'm prepared to pay, because I think when it comes to AdWords and sometimes Facebook advertising, it can be, if you've never done it, it seems a little bit confusing.
Yep.
How do you take them through that process? How do you explain to them the difference between just working on the SEO that's unpaid and the difference between investing money in paid ads?
Yeah. So I think there's a place for both, and especially since Google is in the end an advertising company now, so they're going to create their structure so that people will actually click on the ads and everything else. So over the years, the ads have become more prominent, and they've become they look better on the phones and take up more real estate. So more people will click on ads now than they would have in the past. So I think it's up to about 30% may click on the ads now, whereas in the
that's
past,
what I was going to ask. So there's statistics now that, because I know AdWords, going back a couple of years ago, you'd see them pop up and you go, what a pain in the butt. And you'd sort of scroll past them, but they're giving that more real estate now than just the organic sort of searches.
Yeah. Previously, it was like 1 in 10 searches might click on an ad, and now it's up to like 3 in 10
Okay.
are probably going to click on an ad. So what that says to me is, okay, a lot of the times you sort of need to be in there as well as being in the organic results. So the organic results are great because a lot of people obviously still click on them.
Yeah.
And we're spending a lot more time even into the maps now because with so many people on their phones, the maps show up really well and people can click onto maps listings. So maps are only relevant for local type businesses because the map searches will only show up when they're local based type searches. So if you're searching for a local dentist or you're searching for a local service, you'll normally get maps results as well, which will show a few different results in a map and their ratings and a bit of details. So once you start showing in those ones as well, you start to get traffic from that source as well. And then you've got your organic results below them that generally will show there, and they still seem to get a mass amount, but you do really need to make sure that you are in those top 3 spots of anyone, because people they don't have the attention span to scroll through. They say the best place to hide a body is on page 2 of Google because no one goes there. So it's the thing.
Like I have gone on to page 2 and page 3 if I'm really looking for something specific, or I might be doing research for just a blog article that I'm writing. And I'll scroll, and I don't go to the ads because that's usually not what I'm looking for. And I'll go through page 1, page 2, page 3, but it's usually just for research. It's not to purchase something.
Yep.
If I'm going to buy something, if it's not on page 1, I'm thinking, well, what are you doing on page 2? You're with all those dead bodies. So have you measured the difference between using, say, Google ads and using Facebook, or using AdWords and using Facebook? And is there some similarities or correlations between, or some vast differences?
Yeah, vast differences. I find that, and the general idea is, so you have to start thinking like the customer. And the customer generally, if they're looking for a service, most of the time, they're not normally going to go straight to Facebook. They're going to go to Google and search for it. So generally, your service-based businesses are going to do well if they invest well into your Google and your Google ads. So that's
a really, really good point, what you just said.
Yeah.
Then. When someone's looking for a service, they're not going to Facebook to find the service. They're going to Google to find the service.
Yeah. So people are spending more time on Facebook, but they're actually not on there looking for services. They're on there to spend time with friends, look at funny pictures, do whatever they do whatever they do, just scroll around and everything else. So generally on Facebook, what seems to work better is if you're actually trying to get the word out about a service, or you're actually trying to educate people more about a service, you'll actually start to get more, because you have to start thinking like a social network and start to think, okay, how can I get videos across that might actually get their attention in their news feed, ads that might actually get their attention. If you try to advertise too much in there, it doesn't work, because people start to see it as ads, and people love to be sold, but love to buy, but hate to be sold. So They when they see an ad that seems like too much of an ad, they get really snarky and feel that you're invading their personal space of Facebook. So it really is that balance of making really trying to educate and put out good information in the advertising as well. So when you're actually starting to using dentists, for example, when you're starting to do some of the cosmetic procedures or you're doing some different ones,
Yeah.
starting to get videos explaining some of that stuff and different things that will actually start to get people to know that you offer these services. Facebook can be great because obviously if you're going to Google and they're just searching, they're just seeing text type results and everything else. They're not getting a video explaining a bit about it or telling them that there's a free consultation and all that sorts of information. So you do have that ability with so many people on Facebook to be able to utilize different types of ads to really get that information out about services, and actually start to sort of, if you can get their attention about something or it's something different or unique about your business or something that might be unique to versus other businesses, it's a perfect place for Facebook because you start to get people's attention and then you start getting that social interaction. And once you get that social interaction and the social proof from people that people actually like what you're doing, then it just starts to roll along and you start to get that bit more of that viral effect and get out to more people and you can sort of build on that.
So that was a great explanation though between the difference between like Google AdWords. People know AdWords are an ad, so they don't mind you shoving something down their throat when they click on it.
Yeah.
Whereas Facebook, we're not there to be sold to. And what do you think about Instagram, using Instagram for using the advertising as well, or promoting yourself?
Instagram, I feel pretty much the same. You really have to make your ads look like a picture that'll get their attention. So I've seen dental teeth whitening companies blow up and just go viral and insane from using Instagram and that's because they're able to just use pictures of smiling chicks and white smiles and different things, and there's stuff that you might see in your news feed anyway, but all of a sudden you go, oh yep, cool, and it catches your attention. Oh, I get a white smile and there. So it really has to be that natural one. The best kind of marketing doesn't feel like marketing.
That's so true, yes.
It really has to. So you really have to think about, okay, what are people actually doing on the platform?
Yeah.
And then, okay, how do I actually market in a way that actually feels natural to them, that actually won't feel like I'm trying to sell to them, that just feels like I'm trying to provide a service and that I'm just part of the platform and I'm not getting in their face or doing too much. So it has to feel natural. So when you're doing it, you really have to think about, okay, what are people doing when they're on the platform?
Yeah.
And how do I get in there without interrupting them almost, but also how do I get their attention? So you still have to break their attention span when they are flicking through and sort of get their attention with something. And that's where video can come in really well, because videos all of a sudden play or something happens and you get their attention quickly with some sort of video or movement, because it sort of breaks up if they're flicking through photos or different other stuff and they see a video and go, oh yeah, cool. And it just sort of breaks up and gets their attention. So quick little videos can work really well to just sort of break people's attention span and actually get them to stop and take notice of what you're doing.
That is great advice. And I think it was one of those things, like you said, why are they there in the first place? They're not there, like you said before, not to be sold to. And if you can tap into that, you're going to do a lot better with your advertising, even though it's not advertising. Have you ever bought anything? Have you ever clicked on an ad on Instagram or Facebook and bought anything?
No,
I have.
I know I've clicked on ads, so I'd say I probably have purchased it. And quite often the ones that I probably have purchased have probably been retargeting. So retargeting is if you go on a website or something else, there's a pixel on there that actually tracks that you've been to that website and then show you an ad on the platform that you go to. So you go to Facebook next and all of a sudden you're seeing the stuff that you've just been looking at on Amazon or any of those sites, and you get reminded, oh yeah, I actually do want to buy that, and then you go on and buy that. So quite often, it'll track you around. It's we often put reminders out at Mother's Day and all that if you're shopping for your mum to make sure you clear your cache on your computer so that the cookies don't show what you've been shopping for. So
yeah, you help people set up the pixels and retargeting through their websites as well.
Yeah, so pixels, the Facebook pixel just allows you basically to track any movement that people have done from your page or from your ads or any of your posts.
Yeah.
And if they go offsite, it'll then track what they've gone and done from there, which allows you to track conversions and different other things. But then what you can also then do is if they've gone to certain pages, it'll track what page they've been, and then you can set up campaigns based on what they've done. So you can automatically say, okay, I want to target people that have watched my previous videos for more than a certain amount of time, because I know that they're actually interested in what I'm doing. So I'll put this ad out to those people because I already know that they're going to actually pay attention and watch it. Or I know that people have been going to this service page on my website. Let's put an ad up to show that. And then you've got also the ability from there then is actually creating custom audiences. So if you've already got email lists or people's emails, you can go in and create a custom audience of those people and then target ads at them so that they can actually, if you've got promotions going on or you want to remind them of something, you can actually show it to them because you've already got that proven history that they'll spend money with you. So you can go, okay, yep, cool. Let's target ads at them. So it can, with all the data that's out there and the data that all these companies collect, you really have to make sure that you're using that data well and actually be tracking and looking at, okay, how can we utilize the data we have? And also, if you're an offline business, how can we collect other data to make sure that we're bringing it into our online world and sort of crossing it across to make sure our marketing works together?
What about LinkedIn? Do you use LinkedIn at all with your clients, or is that something you don't touch on as much?
I haven't used it much with clients. I've played around with it a bit, helping friends with campaigns and different other stuff. And it's normally been focused around the business to business type one or targeting certain industries and stuff. So once you work out that, okay, my target is mortgage brokers and that, okay, we'll target mortgage brokers on LinkedIn because it's a professional type site and they're listing what they do when they're listing all that information. So, and it's one of those ones where same way you sort of have to make sure that you're not being too salesy and all that, because there's nothing worse than connecting with someone and the next minute a message pops up saying, oh, you might be interested in my service and everything else. It just screams a lot. It just screams that you're not there. So you really have to still build value and make sure that you're actually creating relationships and everything else, and make sure that you're putting good information out on your posts. So utilizing it, I've seen people utilize it really well by putting out good articles and then starting to target people that have read their articles or they've built audiences based on any of that stuff, and then really start to sort of build up on that, because you've already sort of given them a bit of value in the information that you've provided. And once you've done any of that, then you can start build those relationships rather than trying to just jump in and connect and sell everyone as soon as you connect with them.
Yeah, I read that, and I've heard that on another podcast about writing articles for LinkedIn is a great way of just connecting with people who read your articles, and eventually they start following you if they like the style of your writing. And at the bottom of each article, you can link it to whether it's a podcast or to your website, and that just grows organically. You're not pushing it. They don't feel like they're being sold to, but they'll actually come to you.
Yeah, you definitely have to start, building up your content, building up your relationships, and actually do a bit of the hard work. So many people are trying to get those quick wins and just jump in straight away and try and sell people, but you're going to have better relationships and you're going to have better quality businesses that you can work with and people that you can work with if you actually build those relationships first, and you're getting people that are actually know what you're about and actually want to actually connect properly with you.
This is be a bit of a left field question. I don't think anyone has probably asked you this for a while. What about Yahoo and those other search engines that I know still exist? Yep. Do you ever tell anyone that they should be doing something? I don't even know what's on there, or do they have ads? I have no idea because I never go there. But does anyone ever ask you about that? That I'm a Yahoo fan.
I've had a couple. Bing is the other one that most of the people ask me about now, which is a Microsoft owned one, which I think actually might have changed across from Yahoo or one of those. But it is pre-installed on some of the Microsoft computers and different other things. So there is some search history, but from what my tracking and all that, it's probably like 1% of the traffic each month. from analytics is actually coming from any of those ones. I'm accredited. I'm actually an accredited Bing ads person and everything else, but I actually run very little on there.
But you don't tell people.
Yeah, so occasionally we'll run some ads to test different things,
Yeah.
just see how things are going. But just the search volume's just so low on them that it just makes it hard to really like the ad costs and everything else are a lot cheaper because there's a lot less people on there and everything else. So you can get cheap ad costs, but the issue is if no one's actually seeing your ads and you're not getting that volume,
Yeah.
then cheap ads mean nothing. I could find a billboard for $10 somewhere, but if it's in the middle of nowhere and no one actually sees it, then
that's true.
It doesn't really matter if I've got my sign as big as possible on that billboard. If no one actually sees it, then it's useless. So you sort of have to go where the traffic is. So that's where normally my focus is normally around that sort of Google and the Facebook and the Instagram and YouTube and places that are actually got that traffic, so that you can maximize on, okay, people are spending time on these sites. We need to make sure that we're actually showing up when people actually spend time on these sites.
Yeah, and things are constantly changing too. You know, the whole online world. Like I read something today actually that Google Plus is basically getting wound up and thrown away.
Yeah, which a lot of people might have actually thought that happened a long time ago because it hasn't really gone anywhere.
It's amazing. It surprises me that Google can be so big, yet at the same time they could produce such a dog of a platform that it's sort of, when it started, sort of had a bit of potential, and all of a sudden it sort of just died. So, and that's what I find interesting is everything now, AdWords, you know, Facebook ads, Instagram, retargeting, all those type of things. That where do you see it going next? Do you have any predictions for the future on what you think the next thing could be, or you're like, no, I don't know, just got to sit back and wait?
Social media wise, we're constantly seeing the trend go towards these quick little stories and the live type stuff. So I think there'll be that constant trend into that. Facebook, I know, is heavily invested into video.
Yeah.
Facebook Watch has just launched in Australia, so that's basically their YouTube platform. And they own Instagram now, and IGTV launched as well. So that sort of shows that that's where they're really wanted to put their focus on, is around this video type platform, and they're really, as you can see with the stories and all that, they're giving a lot of focus to people's stories and everything else. So if that gets momentum, I think there's a lot to it, because people do like those, getting that insight into people's life and what's happening. So I think business is actually starting to use that and actually giving people a bit more of an insight into the business and everything else, and giving them quick videos and everything else can really start to build an audience well. Google, I've said it for the last 12 months, and it's still only slowly taking off. I still think audio and voice search is going to be one of the bigger players in the market as we go forward. But because as more people get things like Alexa and Siri gets better and everything else, and people become more reliant on just getting them to do the searches, it's actually then translating what you've typed into a typed search. So the search, the types of search change, because you actually have to start thinking about, okay, what do people say rather than what people will type.
Yeah.
So, because when I ask Siri, if I ask Siri to find me my local dentist, that's a totally different search from if I just actually went in and write dentist in my suburbs. So you starting to get different ones, and it's starting to see it where certain terms like so and so near me.
Yeah.
Or actually starting to get a higher volume, because people are actually using voice search to actually say, I'm looking for a restaurant near me, and it'll pull up, rather than them typing into a search engine and saying restaurant in whatever area they're looking. So the actual search patterns are changing. So you have to actually, the main change for that is actually starting to think about how people would actually say things.
Yeah.
And then actually utilizing those types of keywords and that type of content on your site so that it's actually showing naturally in Google, and that you're actually starting to rank for a lot of those terms. And then also because of that, and them actually using the maps listings to pull up a lot of stuff. I think in the local search, the maps are going forward are a pretty big thing that people need to put a lot of time and effort into, and making sure that you've got good reviews, because if they're actually with a lot of the search, they'll be able to search for the highest rated restaurant in my area or a certain type of one. So you have to make sure that you've got the right type of listings of the different types of foods you offer, because if people are searching for different types of foods, so there's lots of little things that you have to actually start to think like your customer and actually start to work out what people are doing and that. So I think going forward, the search, the voice search is really gonna continue to take it. It has month on month been increasing in the search engines. So yeah, I think it'll continue to, because people have become more comfortable. Cars will become more equipped with the Bluetooth type ones where it's automatically searching and you're asking the questions true. And stuff. So it's they're already going that way, with most of them starting to go with iPlay and different ones that have Siri and different other stuff. So it really will start to go that way, and you'll find more people are driving and saying, can you search for this or can you search for that? So there's I think it's people just need to pay attention to what their customers are doing and what they're doing in their life as well.
That's a good point. It's what you do in your own life, more than likely, unless you're a really complete lunatic or oddball. But the average person in the street is probably doing exactly the same thing that you do. So how you search for things. And I saw an ad on TV just recently, and they were talking about the Yellow Pages app on your phone for doing searching. And I'm thinking, I still wouldn't use it. But I can see my mum using that app because Yellow Pages has still been so ingrained into her.
In them. Yeah.
But when you think of yourself and maybe your ideal client, patient or customer, what are they doing? And are they going to be using a Yellow Pages search? Probably unlikely if they're like yourself.
Yeah, I get asked the question all the time whether or not people should pay the extra for premium listings on a lot of the sites like Yellow Pages. And my normal response is, well, if you're searching for something, would you go to Google or would you go to Yellow Pages? And they're like, well, would go to Google.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so if you go search that search, is Yellow Pages showing up in the top results? And they're like, no.
It used to though. Yeah. Even going back 2 or 3 years ago, you would do a search for, say, dentists in my local area or podiatrists in my local area, and you would have it used to have my clinic, of course, in the top 5. Of course. And it used to be funny. My daughter, when she was about 7, I was doing a search online, and it had the top 10 results there, and I had 8 of the top 10 results. And my daughter goes, "That is just so unfair." And I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, shouldn't you be sharing that with everybody else?" Yeah, it's not fair that you have 8 out of the top 10. Yeah, that just seems like you're taking all the you're taking all the money. And I went, "That's exactly right. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing." And then I said something to her about, how we go on holidays? She went, yeah. I said, you really like them? Yeah. I said, the only way we take those holidays is because I have 8 out of 10 of the top rankings. And she went, oh, well, don't give it to them then.
Yeah. So. That's the exact response I'd give my sons when they start asking why I'm replying to an email or why I'm doing this. It's like, well, you know how you like that new game that you got? Well, we couldn't get those if if I didn't actually reply to my customers and do my job.
I think that's funny. But it's true, like with the Yellow Pages, you go back even 3 or 4 years ago, 2 years ago, you would do a search, you'd have the top, the 10 on the first page, and Yellow Pages used to turn up, be down around 5, then it went down about 7. Now, I can't remember the last time I've actually seen it on page 1.
Yep. So Google over the years, probably the last 5 years, they've done that many different updates, and they've tried to make it more user friendly. And they've found that most users, when they're looking for like something in their local area, they don't want a directory of everyone listed. They're looking for a particular clinic. So they've realized that it's better to show up those particular ones. And there's Yellow Pages and the different directories will still show up in different areas that don't have much competition or there's not many people. So it'll show different listings and it'll show different stuff. But generally, if there's a lot of just general websites, they'll normally show up before like the Yellow Pages or anything else, because Google's trying to make the experience better for the individual user.
Yeah, I did. I was doing a talk 2 years ago. No, it was only about 12 months ago. but it was just talking about yellow pages and online, how things have changed, and how sometimes it's just some businesses are so set in their ways that they're not willing to change. So I thought, okay, I'm going to look at a couple of different professions, ones that I know are just so old school, and some that are not. So I went and looked up lawyers. So you grab the yellow pages in Brisbane, for example, and you go and look up lawyers, and you have a look at all the really old law firms. I've still got the full and half page ads, and it's just crap after crap after crap that's in their ad.
Yep.
And then they're probably wondering, geez, why are we getting our asses kicked by all these young upstarts? And then you go online and you search for lawyers, and it's a completely different group of lawyers, and they're all the younger ones that are more fired up and are more know what's happening right now. And I think that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, it is. And they pay an absolute fortune for it as well. And when you ask them about the return on investment, they have no idea if they're actually getting patients. And you then go and ask the admin or the reception whether or not they get many calls from people saying that they've found you in the yellow pages. They said, oh, no, I can't remember the last time we've got one of those.
Yeah.
But they continue to pay the $100,000 or whatever for an ad. They're not cheap, and they continue to pay it, even though they know they probably don't know. They're just that used to it, and they just see it come in every year, and they just renew it and do it. So it is crazy to stop and actually think about some of the money. When I first started doing marketing, I did a lot of the offline type stuff and everything else, and worked in a lot of different stuff, and the cost and everything else, when I look at it now, and now I can clearly track it down to the individual person that's coming through and everything else, and be able to see costs of clicks and costs of conversions and everything else. And previously we were just relying on, okay, if the salesperson actually put down that someone said that they were from a particular ad in the paper or whatever else, and that we could actually track it back at the end of the month and hope that we've got a return on investment.
I know, now you can, it's crazy.
Now you can stop and start and change according to what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, and that's the good part with online marketing it's something that if it's not working, you can change it. So when a client comes and works with you, how do you, once you've spoken to them, you've got it all worked out, you put a plan in place, it's now running, do you then get together with them? Is it like every quarter and say, hey, these are the results? Do you send out reports so that they can keep track of how their marketing is actually going?
Yeah, so we have basically a dashboard analytics system that tracks everything that we're doing for the client. So it'll track all the data. It doesn't track basically what we're doing, but it tracks all the results and the data and everything that's coming in from the results of what we're doing. So it basically tracks all that, and then that gets reported at a monthly basis. And then we normally open up the phone for a phone call monthly if they want to talk to us. Some clients are different. They'll just send me a message here or there, and then some want calls every 2 weeks or that, and want to go over it.
Some need to be cuddled, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it is very different for each one, and we try to accommodate every client according to what we can do. As we've grown, it gets harder for me to individually speak to everyone. So I'm slowly getting the team to talk to different people as well, and be able to do videos as well, and send quick updates. So it is part of that working out what works best as well for the client, and what works best for us to actually get the information across, because sometimes you can report on so much, but then the client doesn't understand any of it anyway. So you then have to break it down to a simplified report. So you sort of have to work out what actually works best as well. And sometimes it's asking if there's different things that you want to track, or different things you want to actually report on that they might actually need to see as well. So
I've got one last question for you. It's Monday morning, and someone bumps into you, down at the local coffee shop, and they said, "Oh, you're Josh Rimmington. You're on my favourite podcast, It's No Secret with Dr. T," and I was listening to that. I'm about to walk into work. What's the number one tip you would give me when it comes to my whole online presence and my online marketing? When I sit down in front of my computer and get started for the day, what's the number one tip you reckon that I should do?
Choose one basically platform or marketing method, and focus on it, and basically test it and get the results with it. So people, in the online world, it's very much the shiny object syndrome, where people see everything and everyone doing different things, and they feel that they have to do everything. But what happens is that you're doing a lot of things, but you're not doing one thing really well then. So if you're getting started, or you really need to stop and look back at your stuff, focus on something for a period of time, just to actually start to actually get the data, get the information, start to get the ball rolling with doing stuff. Like if you decide that you want to do videos, stick to it and actually do it for a period of time, and actually start to get the results and see everything rolling. Doesn't mean that once you're testing it that you might find that is. So obviously you want to pick something that you feel that actually will be a good investment of your time and money.
Yeah.
But really focus on it and stick to it. And if you feel that you can't spend time and focus on something, then obviously hire someone and get someone in that can actually start to do it, and spend some time to actually focus on one thing, and don't try and do everything at once. Once you start getting everything rolling and you're doing a lot of things, then you can start doing a lot of things well. But if you're getting started in a lot of it and you really want to start to get the ball rolling and getting results, really start to focus on one thing and get really good at it.
Okay, that is great advice. So,
That's
Josh,
right.
thank you for being on It's No Secret with Dr. T. How can people connect with you and find your company? I assume it's probably jrmarketinggroup.com. That was a wild guess.
It's jrmg.com.au. So standing for JR Marketing Group. So it's jrmg.com.au. If they want to connect directly with me, I'm either Josh Rimmington, or if on Instagram and Snapchat, I'm Dadpreneur.
Dadpreneur, that's right.
Dadpreneur. So they can get me on any of those. But yeah, just Josh Rimmington on Facebook or anywhere else. If they search it, they'll be able to find me.
Okay, that is cool. So Josh, once again, thank you for being on It's No Secret with Dr. T.
Thanks, mate.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to Josh Rimmington today. I know I enjoyed talking with him, and I think it's really important that we sit down and first we work out what are our business goals. Then work out which platforms are going to help us achieve those goals. I think that is the best place to start, and that is just brilliant advice. Now, before I go, I just want to mention I'm running some workshops, how to start a podcast. I've got one in a couple of weeks' time on the 24th of November. Now, I'm running these in Cairns. So if you live in Cairns, this is really easy to get to. There's only 4 places per workshop because I want it to be very hands-on. But it'll go the whole day. There's details on my website, tysonfranklin.com, and just click on events. And I'm also running another workshop on the 19th of January 2019. So if you live out of town and you're thinking, I need a tax-deductible excuse to come to Cairns, this may be it. And believe me, every person and every business can benefit by having a podcast. Even if you only had 100 people listening to your podcast on a regular basis, picture that 100 people all in one room and you're getting to talk to them every week. That's how powerful a podcast is. And before I go, 2 more things. Just want to give a shout out to some of my favorite podcasts, which I normally do each week. Unstructured with Eric Hunley, the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green, and In Top Form with my buddy Dave Freeze. Check them out. I know you're going to like them. Okay, and before I go, this is my last thing. If you like this show, tell your friends, family, and work colleagues. And if you happen to be on one of those podcast platforms where you can click and do a review, if you want to put a big smile on my face, give me a review and I will read it out on one of my shorter episodes on a Friday. Okay, that's it from me. Look after yourself, take care of your family, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now.